What's going on, yo? It's another day on the Day One podcast. I'm your co-host, Anthony. I got my co-host, Kyle. Say what's up. What's happening, y'all? Going, baby.
Welcome to the show called Hall of Ass. We are the hosts with the most ass, Anthony, Kyle. I'm just kidding. This ain't that show.
Oh my god, dude.
Yeah,
bro.
Rough week of football for you and I, bro.
Yeah. All around, bro.
All around, bro. Tough. All I can say is thank God the bye week is here, bro. Even though the season just started.
Reset.
Yeah. Bro, we just started. Reset.
Yep.
Oh my God. Boy, we will get into that, but what's going on, y'all? It's another day on the Day One podcast. I'm your co-host, Anthony. I got my co-host, Kyle. Say what's up.
What's up, everybody?
We got a jam-packed show for y'all today. A lot of stuff to get into, so we don't want to waste too much time. Drop a like, subscribe, turn on the notification bell. This is the best time of year. You don't want to miss a single video, single short, single live stream. Basketball's around the corner. We're getting into the heat of the NFL season. Playoff baseball's back in the fold. And, you know, sports renaissance, as it always is.
Mm-hmm.
So do not miss a single beat. Keep your asses tapped in. And I promise this is not the Hall of Ass.
No.
This is the Day One podcast. Tap in.
All right, bro. Let's get directly into it because we got a lot of shit to talk about. Starting off with arguably the biggest football news of the last week. Davante Adams has requested a trade less than 24 hours after Antonio Pierce liked a tweet that said Davante Adams may have played his final snap with the Raiders. So, timeline, that's what started it. Antonio Pierce overnight, it was like 8 o'clock at night or something, liked a post that said Davante Adams probably will not play for the Raiders again. Mm-hmm. Fast forward to the next morning, Up and Adams with Kay Adams. Davante goes on the show.
Oh.
And Kay asks him and goes, hey, so there's a lot of people saying that you're never going to play for the Raiders again. What do you think about that? And Davante didn't say, what are you talking about? He said, I'm just focused on the next thing in front of me.
What is that next thing in front of him?
Yeah.
We don't know, but we are here to speculate about it.
Absolutely. So not more than half an hour after that, a tweet came out by Rap Sheet saying that the Raiders are starting to shop around Davante Adams. Not 30 minutes after that interview.
Mm-hmm.
And then a few hours later, we come to find out that Davante Adams requested a trade. So that all happened in like 24 hours, dude. I don't know what happened in that locker room. Because I don't think Davante's definitely been much more chill on the sideline this year than he was last year.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. And it's crazy because I looked at the Raiders as one of those teams, like, sure, they don't have the talent like some of these other teams in the AFC, but Antonio Pierce as a head coach last year was very polarizing. He brought the troops together. They really played around him. And I really don't know what changed. I don't know what changed at all. It just seems like they're not engaged like they were last year. Certainly some of the injuries they've had haven't helped, and the roster construction too, but it wasn't a problem last year when they didn't have anything to lose and they were a frisky team.
Yeah.
But, speculators say contract is the issue.
Yep.
Davante Adams says him getting his head cut off every week is also an issue.
Mm-hmm.
As per Mic'd Up from last year.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. Another wide receiver requests a trade amid contract negotiations.
Yeah.
The Raiders obviously haven't had the best start to the season.
No.
Probably
I
the
think
worst.
I think a lot of things go into this. So I don't consider Davante Adams a diva receiver. I mean, like
I don't either.
there's guys that are for sure just bitching moaning. Like Tyreek Hill is a little bit of a diva receiver, but it's different context because you look at the storyline of Davante Adams in Vegas. He gets traded from the Packers not because he wanted to leave, but because the Packers could not pay Rodgers and Davante Adams that offseason. They just couldn't.
Mm-hmm.
So they trade him to go play with his college teammate, Derek Carr. He was excited. He wanted to be there. He's in Vegas. And then 4 weeks in, they bench Derek Carr?
Yeah.
They bench him, cut him before the trade deadline, and have Jimmy Garoppolo then step in, who was absolute garbage last season. Absolute shit. And not to mention, too, that he just wasn't getting involved in the offense whatsoever. Davante Adams was not targeted at all in like the first half of the season. It started to pick up once Antonio Pierce became interim. But then you go into this year, and I thought this year there was pretty decent expectations. I thought they were going to be a solid team. Like
I thought so, too.
I didn't think they were a playoff team, but I thought they were, 7 wins, maybe sneak into 500. I mean, you look at that offense, like Zamir White exploded onto the scene the second half of last year. He's been a no-show. You add a guy like Brock Bowers. You bring in Gardner Minshew, who almost brought the Indianapolis Colts to the playoffs last year. I thought they could have had a very similar season this year than what the Colts did last year. And it's just not looked like that at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think Davante Adams is warranted for wanting a trade. So right now, as it sits, his 2 landing spots that he wants to go to are the Saints and the Jets, which is nice.
Nice for you. And for obvious reasons. He's got history with both quarterbacks.
Mhm.
Derek Carr went to college with and played with in Vegas. And Aaron Rodgers. He's been playing with him as long as we can remember in professional ball. So it makes sense. He wants to go to 2 guys that he's familiar with. As a Jets fan, what are your thoughts on that? Is there too much star power for one football, or are we just loading up for an all-in season? What's the sentiment in one Jets drive?
I mean, I don't think there's too much star power because I mean, you look like a team like the Niners. I mean, they have Debo, they have Brandon Ayuk, they have George Kittle, and they have Christian McCaffrey, and I don't ever see that being an issue of like getting targets over there. Like Brandon Ayuk had an issue contractually, but I don't think it was a getting me involved type thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't personally think we have as good of an offense if we add Davante Adams as even the Niners had. So I think it would be a really, really good move because you can then do Davante Adams at your X. You can have Mike Williams at the opposite side and then Garrett Wilson in the slot. Dude, that is disgusting.
Then you can move Garrett Wilson around too because he can play inside outside.
Yeah, he doesn't have to be on the number one. He won't be on the number one corner every week. And if he is, Davante Adams on a corner 2.
Yeah. It's
Disgusting.
the same situation with A.J. Brown and Devontae Smith. 2
Exactly.
number 1s, and one of them is on a cornerback number 2.
Yep.
And honestly, it might open up Garrett Wilson's game a little bit more.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, for that reason we just said.
Yeah.
He's on a cornerback number 2. The timing with him and Aaron Rodgers hasn't been what we thought it was going to be.
Not quite yet, no.
So maybe bringing a guy like Davante Adams in who knows Aaron Rodgers' timing helps Garrett Wilson out in the mental aspect, but also takes a little bit of the pressure off of him to be the guy.
Yeah.
The number 1 target, because now you have a guy who's been with Rodgers for years.
Yeah, absolutely. And I don't think the sky's falling offensively. I mean, Garrett Wilson hasn't been performing well. I do think, though, like Aaron Rodgers has not played any time at all with Garrett Wilson prior to this year. We added a lot of different pieces. Mike Williams being in and out of the rotation because of like injury and snap count, like figuring out what they want to do at the slot, bringing in like Alan Lazard, Xavier Gibson, and Malachi Corley. I think once a couple of weeks pass by, there'll be a more steady rotation at wide receiver, and it'll be more consistent for Garrett because they're trying a lot of different things right now. That once they find some stability in that room, I think it'll be better, regardless if Davante Adams comes or not. So I don't think we have to trade for him because like we need it. Right. I can think of 5 things that we need faster than a wide receiver. So like it's just that's kind of where I stand with it. Will I be super excited if he shows up? Yes. Will I be disappointed if he doesn't? Kind of, because all the directions are pointing that way. But I also still think we could be a playoff team without him. So I'm not really...
Well, absolutely.
Yeah,
but
I'm not really tripping over it. I just don't want him to go to a team that's in my division that I think could actually end up trading for him, which we'll get to in
Buffalo.
a second. Yeah.
Yeah. I think they could also very much use a Davante Adams.
Yeah.
Especially considering you see how Josh Allen's been playing.
Yeah.
We'll get into that, but
yeah.
Hey, he is reminding me of a quarterback who used to run the streets of Philly by the name of Carson Wentz.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, it can't hurt to bring in extra firepower. Maybe it closes the gap a little bit. That much more on some of the top teams in the AFC, but definitely not a need per se.
Yeah.
But we'll see. And I mean, on the flip side, you have the Saints, who, they could potentially use a guy like Davante Adams, but at the same time, they're kind of in the similar situation. They got a young guy in Chris Olave, who's a wide receiver number 1.
Yep.
Kamara, Derek Carr, Rashid Shaheed has been pretty decent as a wide receiver number 2, kind of like Lazard has. And they've been getting pretty good production out of him. So it's not like the biggest need in the world.
No.
So, I mean, it's really pick your poison.
Yep. Before we get into, because we have top 5, I have a top 5 landing spots for it. Let's make our spread picks really quick for Tampa Bay, Atlanta. So Atlanta right now at home is a -2.5 point favorite. Who do you like?
That's tough because I like both of these teams.
Yeah,
I really do.
I'll tell you what. I'm leaning Atlanta to cover and win at home. Go to 3-2. I don't know if Tampa's quite a 4-1 team. So on the road, they could be absolutely. They're playing really well. I just think Atlanta's starting to figure some shit out. Kyle Pitts is not going to have another game with 0 catches. Yeah. I like Atlanta to stabilize everything, win tonight.
I'm with you on that.
All right.
It's tough. It's such a coin flip because, I mean, the way Tampa played last week, they look clear and far one of the, if not the best team in the NFC. But division games are always tough, and the Falcons are really good this year.
Yep.
So at home, throwback night.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm with you. The defenses will be the calling card in this one.
I 100% agree. All right, Davante Adams landing spots. I guess I'll get ready. Do you want me to go number 5? You go number 5. Or do you want me to just go my list and then you can go your list?
You go your list. I really don't have like a particular
order. You're just gonna give me 5 teams.
Yeah.
Okay. So my number 5 team, no one's really talking about this one, but I can absolutely see it happening. This team has a young quarterback who's sort of struggling to find himself with very, very little offensive weaponry, but he's got an insanely good offensive coach. And that team is the Denver Broncos. I think Bo Nix early on in his career could really benefit with a Davante Adams. Davante Adams is a guy, even though the production hasn't been there the last 2 years, it's not necessarily him. It's the targets that he's been getting. He just hasn't been getting the same target number that he has in years past. I think you get a safety net like a Davante Adams. You got to put the ball anywhere 5 feet around him, and he's going to come down with it 9 out of 10 times. Yep. I think it's a great weapon to give a guy like Bo Nix. They've got a decent running game as of late. And I think it'd be a really good spot for him to go. Take some pressure off of the other young receivers and just get some stability in that wide receiver room. So Denver's number 5.
I didn't see that one. Honestly.
Yeah.
That's not bad.
I just think all the other quarterbacks, like what young quarterbacks, they've got a guy at this point.
Yeah.
So, all right. Number 4, I have Pittsburgh. I think George Pickens is good. I think Pat Frymuth has been a nice compliment to him. I just think that if this team's starting 3-1 with Justin Fields at quarterback, they need to do everything they can to capitalize on this run that they're having, because Justin Fields is playing out of his mind. We'll see that reflected in step by step. We'll have a little bit of a dialogue about them. But Justin Fields is playing really good football, the best football of his career, no doubt. And I think that this team could really take a leap if they bring in a guy like Davante Adams. There's no stack in the box if you bring in Davante Adams to play with George Pickens, and that running back room that's kind of struggled in Najee Harris and them boys. That a lot of things will open up for them too. So I like Pittsburgh.
Yeah, I do too.
Okay. Number 3, I have my New York Jets. Reason being is I think right now at this point, with a lot of question marks that we have on offense, bringing in a super duper star that's got all of the chemistry in the world with Aaron Rodgers. He's played in the system before. He was there with Nathaniel Hackett. It's just an instant fit. You then bring Garrett Wilson down to the slot, and Garrett Wilson is one of the deepest route trees in football. And then you open up Mike Williams to be on the outside. It doesn't have to be an X. He doesn't have to be moving around too much. Those two can just be on the outside. Garrett Wilson up the middle. That makes our offense pretty dangerous. And honestly, Aaron Rodgers won't have to do too much with those 3 weapons. So I like it for New York. Yeah. I would have had them higher on the list if I felt that we really needed it. But with how Mike Williams has been playing and him coming off the snap count, like there's a chance he really does well this season too. Plus, we're getting a lot out of the tight ends that we usually don't in years past. So
right.
Yep. Jets at number 3. Number 2, this team desperately needs a wide receiver. They are sitting at 2-2 right now. They have a brand new coach and a quarterback that has looked really good in his career, but has no playoff success whatsoever. That is the Los Angeles Chargers. This team, like the Broncos, needs stability in the wide receiver room. I think the Chargers have looked really, really good this season. I think they've had a tough schedule to start, but Jim Harbaugh has been playing really well. The defense is playing well. The offense has been solid. The running game over there has been one of the best in football. Not necessarily this past week, but overall, J.K. Dobbins has been great, along with Gus Edwards. But you bring in Davante Adams, and then all of a sudden you take all that pressure off of Quentin Johnston and all those boys. Ladd McConkey can directly sit in the slot because they've been putting Ladd McConkey outside.
Yeah.
That's not his game. He's a route runner.
Right.
I think that he can drop in there, immediately build chemistry with Justin Herbert. He'll have a go-to target on that offense, and they'll be set.
Yeah.
So I like the Chargers. And number 1, the reason I put them here is because I don't think they've had a standout receiver at all. And I don't think they necessarily need it, but I do think that we've seen in years past that this team with the wide receiver 1 has gone pretty far in the playoffs. That's Buffalo. No one on that offensive staff is particularly doing anything impressive. Josh Allen has 2 games under 150 passing yards this year. They just had an absolute stinker against Baltimore. Granted, it was on the road, but still, this team needs a guy. They need a non-diva wide receiver. Like Davante Adams isn't going to be the type of guy that if he's not getting targeted for a full quarter where he's going to lose his shit. He historically has not been that in his career, as long as they're winning. So,
now you see he's not getting targets. Team's not winning. He's pissed, and rightfully so.
Now, the difference between him and Stephon Diggs is Diggs was getting pissed while they were winning that he wasn't getting targets. That's selfish. Yeah. You drop Davante Adams in with this. Davante Adams is a better player than Stephon Diggs. We agree on that, right?
Davante Adams is a better player than Diggs.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Yeah. That I think it opens up a lot more for this team.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
yep. That's my list.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. A lot of those teams, I agree with you there, especially Buffalo. I'll start there.
Yeah.
They're out of all of the teams that have been rumored and linked to Davante Adams, they're the one that needs it the most, given where they're trying to go, what they're trying to accomplish. I mean, all the teams are trying to win a Super Bowl, but
Yeah.
the way that Josh Allen's been playing, the emergence of James Cook, the fact that this team is they're pretty much overperforming expectations.
Yeah.
To get that next level weapon to get to the next level,
Yeah.
like you said, it's going to open a lot for that offense, and they don't have to rely on a bunch of Jags to get offensive production.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's a better wide receiver than Stephon Diggs.
Yep.
And just think about you think about all of like the rumored wide receivers. It's like, just imagine this guy with this quarterback. Like, imagine Josh Allen, Davante Adams, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. I think funny enough, like we're talking about like if you wanted to think of a dream matchup, imagine Josh Allen with Tyreek Hill.
Yeah. And Davante Adams.
Yeah, not even, but like the Tyreek Hill as a deep threat with the quarterback that can throw the ball the farthest and the hardest in the league.
Yeah.
And
who really doesn't, he just doesn't give a shit either. Like, we heard the inner demons channel his interceptions. So yeah, that's probably the place I like the most. Pittsburgh, and this is no particular order, by the way, except for Buffalo. Pittsburgh I really like as well for a lot of the reasons that you said. Pickens has been good. Freiermuth has been good. But outside of Pickens and Freiermuth in the passing game, they really don't have much. And you look at the way the defense is playing, but they've been playing really good. Justin Fields has been playing really good this season. A big surprise to a lot of people.
Yeah.
But a lot of it has to go to Mike Tomlin. You get a guy in there with a perfect situation, good coaching. This is a guy who had, his character questioned.
Yeah.
And for him to come into here and accept the coaching, he took the role of backup quarterback, and sure, Mr. Unlimited got limited due to his calf injury, and now he's Mr. Nothing in Russell Wilson. But for Justin Fields to, work through that battle, take the starting job and perform, it's not like he's just a placeholder.
No, absolutely not.
He's playing some pretty good ball for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They could be a team that could step up. They're in that, I'd say they're in that like second tier of like playoff team in the AFC, but they're not really in the conversation as a true contender.
Yeah.
You drop a guy like Davante Adams into that situation, I think the Pittsburgh Steelers turn into an instant contender. Given the defense, the play you're getting out of your quarterback, the coach.
Yeah.
I think that team turns into a really scary squad.
Absolutely, especially if what we're getting out of Justin Fields stay the same. Like if that stays as is, then yes, I agree.
Yeah, and I think so. I think he's a really good fit for a Mike Tomlin style team.
Yeah, I agree. Smash math.
Yeah,
run the
football.
Yeah,
an insane athlete, just good enough to be a good enough passer. Like, we're starting to see him look comfortable with timing routes.
Yeah, he's flourishing.
Yeah,
I told you, he's forever going to be the worst quarterback in football until he's not, and right now he's not.
I tried to tell you, bro.
I was telling you. I was telling you what I was seeing. I wasn't projecting the future.
I know, but bro, I'm telling you, like the Jalen Hurts 21-22 jump, like for a guy like Justin Fields, it's there. And I tried to listen. I backed off of it. But seeing him flourish in Pittsburgh, hey, it's a good feeling to say, I told you so.
Yeah.
But no, that would definitely be a good spot for Davante Adams to go. The Jets, like we discussed earlier, would also be a good spot. Do you really need it? It's not really a need. It's more of a luxury. But yeah, again, good spot to go. Another spot I think is good. We didn't really touch on this. I think Washington could be a pretty sneaky good spot for Davante Adams.
Mhm.
You have a young rookie quarterback in Jaden Daniels. He does have Terry McLaurin that he's throwing the ball to. And, Brian Robinson, Austin Eckler in the backfield, Zach Ertz as your tight end. But
Yeah.
again, kind of in the same spot as like a Buffalo or a Pittsburgh. You have like one pretty decent target outside of that in terms of pass catchers. Like, what are you working with? Like, it's
Yeah.
working with Luke McCaffrey,
Yeah.
Olamide Zaccheaus. Drop Davante Adams in there and really see what happens. I don't want to see it as a member of the NFC East, but
Yeah.
that would be a scary squad for sure. And they have the
I
cap
agree.
space to pay him. So,
Absolutely. Yeah. Yep.
yeah.
There are two teams that like neither of us mentioned. I don't think that. Well, you brought up the Saints. The only reason I didn't have them in my top 5 is because I think their offense 3 or 4 weeks has looked fucking fantastic with what they've had.
Yeah. And hold on. I didn't get to my last team, bro.
Go ahead.
Nobody wants to see this, bro.
I want to see it. I want to see it badly. I need to have it.
Wants to see the Kansas City Chiefs get Davante Adams, bro.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
We need to see it.
I'm sorry I have to put that out there, but someone had to put it out there. They lost Hollywood Brown for the season. Rashee Rice is probably going to be out for the season.
That not from what I've seen. It's looking
he's on
like
injured reserve
for 4 weeks. He's not on season-ending IR because they don't think he did. They don't think he did it. They don't think he tore his ACL.
Well, we'll see. But if you drop Davante Adams in there, and if Rashee Rice comes back,
yeah, that thing's gonna fall apart like pulled pork. Though if he comes back this season, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I need him back for my fantasy team, but
yeah.
The Hunt family might get investigated for fraud if that happens. And, interdivision trade for a guy of that caliber, very unlikely.
Yeah, agreed.
But it fills a huge need for Kansas City, and that now is wide receiver.
Yeah. I would honestly book Amari Cooper being on that roster by the end of by the trade deadline. I think that is such a perfect fit.
Yeah.
So
that would be a Chiefs move for them to trade for Amari Cooper.
Yeah, who's only owed $900,000 this year.
Yeah,
if traded for. That's
and
insane.
He is such an underrated guy.
He is. He's like top 15.
He might be their best receiver since Tyreek Hill.
Oh, no doubt. I mean, their best receiver since him has been either Rashee Rice last year or like as a rookie or Juju. So like
Juju.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Yep.
Not for sure. But yeah, we'll have to continue to see what the deal with Davante Adams is. Maybe he does not get moved.
Yeah, maybe not.
Hopefully Max Crosby gets moved to Philly because he keeps tweeting eagle emojis. But
I swear to God, if he shows
that seems
up in
like
Philly,
a trend before,
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm reaching for strings, bro.
Yeah, you are.
They're not letting me have Hassan Reddick back due to a stupid NFL rule. So I'm reaching for strings right now.
I'm hoping and praying he goes to the Raiders. I hope we send him over there.
Reddick.
Yeah, I hope it gets us out of having to give up a second-round pick.
Well, that I saw floating around as a 3-team trade
to
you guys
Atlanta,
to get
right?
Davante Adams.
Yeah,
I think the trade was like, what was it?
Is it like Reddick to Atlanta?
Yeah, Reddick to Atlanta, Davante Adams to the Jets, and the Raiders get like a couple second-round picks.
Yeah, I'm not opposed.
Yeah.
No, I mean Hassan Reddick hasn't played a snap for us. I honestly do think though we need Hassan Reddick more than we need Davante Adams. I will say that.
I agree.
But if we're getting off of Hassan Reddick, I'm okay with it.
Yeah.
Like if we have to do it because if he played for us and just was unhappy, I would be more upset, but it's been fine.
For now.
Yep. All right. In other news, Basketball, right?
Yeah. Some big earth-shaking NBA news. The first Chamber alert.
Yeah.
No more Woj bombs. We got
Yeah.
Chamber alerts now.
Good.
Shams, my guy, Shams Charania broke the news. Karl Anthony Towns is a New York Knick, bro.
Yes, he is. It's insane.
I know. Karl Anthony Towns traded to Minnesota for Julius Randle, Dante DiVincenzo. I think there was another player thrown in there.
Daquan
and
Jeffries.
Daquan Jeffries. That was from Charlotte.
Yep.
And a couple first, second round pick.
1 first, 2 seconds.
Yeah. Draft picks.
Yep.
What are your thoughts on that? I'll go first because like I saw this right when it happened and instantly thought, wow.
Yeah.
The Knicks, it's like Knicks Boston.
Agreed.
Then when I saw the compensation, I was like, wow, they gave up a lot for Karl Anthony Towns. Then I flopped back because you keep forgetting they traded for Mikal Bridges earlier in the offseason. Now they traded for Karl Anthony Towns. So now their starting lineup is Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. I think they still have OG Anunoby, so he's running the 3. 4. Who's the 4?
I think it's actually going to be Jalen Brunson, Quentin Grimes.
Okay, yeah. I was thinking he was 6-man, but yeah.
Yeah, or Deuce McBride at 2. And then you have Mikal at 3, OG at 4, Cat at 5. That's what I think it's going to be. I think they're going to end up starting Deuce because then you have a perimeter defense of Deuce, Mikal, and OG that is absolutely disgusting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gross.
So, yeah, after further review, I mean, the Knicks didn't really give up a whole lot. I mean, Dante DiVincenzo is a tough piece to lose just because of the season he had last year. But they pretty much washed it with upgrading Julius Randle for Cat.
I agree. So, do you have any more thoughts on this?
It just makes the East pretty much a 3-4 horse race between Boston, Knicks, Sixers, Bucks, maybe.
Yeah, maybe if Dame and Giannis can figure it out.
Yeah.
Right now, I think it's only a two horse race with the Celtics and Knicks. I need to see Philly. Yeah,
I think, and I've low key. This is off topic a little bit. Low key though, I've seen this floating around on Twitter, bro. Aaron Gordon needs to get paid.
Yeah.
If the Sixers trade for Aaron Gordon, I think that puts them right at the top of that conversation.
I don't think it does because I can't trust Embiid in the playoffs.
But he's not going to have to do it in the regular season, which is the thing.
That's true, but like the health, like, you know what I mean? Like,
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
Kawhi didn't have to do it in the regular season with Harden and George, and he still got hurt. You know what I mean? So like,
yeah,
that's my biggest question. But I think healthy, absolutely top 4.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. What are your thoughts?
All right. So you saw my tweet. You liked it. There's been a lot of discourse. Knicks fans have been disgusted by this trade, and I don't understand why at all. Because the only pieces that really matter are Dante DiVincenzo and Julius Randle. So when you really break it down, what did they lose? They lost 3-point shooting from Dante DiVincenzo, which is basically all he was really good at there. Yeah, but he was undersized. Like, he was a good defender for his size, but I still think he was a negative defender.
Yeah. And they still have great perimeter defense. So what loss is it?
Mm-hmm. Their perimeter defense came out of their bench last year. So you lose the 3-point shooting of Dante DiVincenzo, and you lose the 10 plus rebounds per game out of Julius Randle and the 20 points out of Julius Randle. You get all 3 of those things in Cat. You get it right back better. Cat's a better shooter than Dante DiVincenzo, and you get consistent in 20 and 10 games from him. the bonus of having Cat is Cat's put together a better, more consistent career thus far than Julius Randle. More so, like, I don't know what I'm getting from Julius Randle night to night. I'm going in and I'm getting either like 29 and 17 on like 15 of 23 with 3 of 4 from 3, or I'm getting 8 and 9 on 3 of 18, 0 for 7 from 3. And it's no in between ever. Cat, you are pretty much getting consistent 20 and 10 every single night. And Cat's been better in the playoffs. Like, we talk a lot of shit for how Cat played early on in his career, but these last 2 years, he's been good.
Yeah.
He's been good.
And now he's on a team with even more star power. I mean,
absolutely.
Jalen Brunson, Bridges, OG Anunoby.
Yep.
This team.
Yeah.
The Knicks are out of the cellar, bro. They're out of the basement.
They are.
Finally. They have like a legit squad. It's just crazy that
it is.
Like, Minnesota would co-sign something like that. But flip it to Minnesota side, like, what does this mean for them? They just made the Western Conference Finals. Yeah. They got Anthony Edwards. They're ready to lock him up. And I know they have some other guys like Naz Reid to extend.
Yeah.
But what does this mean for that squad? Because you still got Gobert. Now you add Randall to that, which is kind of a weird fit in my opinion.
Yeah. So moving off of Cat, I thought wasn't the worst decision in the world. What they ended up deciding to do with Cat, what they got back just was not good, because like Cat and Rudy Gobert playing next to each other were a problem. It didn't really work as much as well as they played. It was all Anthony Edwards. We were talking about Anthony Edwards as a top 5 player in the NBA last year during the playoffs because of how dominant he was. Rudy Gobert did not play well next to Cat, but I think Rudy Gobert, they figured out how to keep him on the floor in the playoffs. Because what's the biggest thing with Rudy Gobert is, yes, he's a defensive player of the year consistently year in and year out.
Yep.
He cannot be on the court during the playoffs at all. He just gets into foul trouble, or they bring him out from behind the basket during the playoffs, and he's nothing. I think Rudy Gobert has improved his free throw shooting. I think he's been better at the rim the last year. And I think they figured out how to keep him underneath the basket with what they have there with guys like Jaden McDaniels and things like that. My concern is you move off Cat to fix that, because I think Rudy Gobert could be more useful next to Anthony Edwards, because they had one of the best defenses in basketball last year.
Yep.
So you decide, okay, we're going to move off Cat because the fit's not working. And Cat honestly hasn't gotten us as far. Like, they probably correlated it like, okay, Rudy Gobert comes in, we go to the Western Conference Finals. When Cat was here, we can barely make the playoffs. So they're like, okay, let's go what's working, get rid of Cat.
Yep.
I think they just basically shot themselves in the foot, though, because moving off of Cat's a good idea, but you bring in Julius Randle, who cannot spread the floor night to night, which is a problem when you have Rudy Gobert on your roster. Donte DiVincenzo is a really nice pickup, but they don't need a shooting guard. They need a backup point guard or wings, which Donte DiVincenzo can do, but I don't think he's going to have quite the impact he did last year. He's going to be a lesser player for them because they have more at that position in Minnesota.
Like, you still have Mike Conley.
Yeah, like Donte DiVincenzo last year was playing like 35 minutes a night. He's not going to get that with Minnesota.
No, unless they move off of Mike Conley, that's just not going to happen. Or they run a small lineup, but then at the same time, like you'll have Conley at the 1, him probably at the 2, and at the 3. These guys need the ball in their hands. Ant needs the ball in his hands. Mike Conley is the initiator of that offense typically. Mm-hmm. Donte DiVincenzo's kind of the same way, no? Yeah. Particularly the way he was playing in New York last year.
Yeah. Yeah, so I agree.
It's a tough fit. I know that's probably the upgrade that they were looking at there, getting a guy like DiVincenzo, which is great. Kind of gives you an insurance policy if you move off of Mike Conley after this year.
Yeah.
But yeah, really weird fit. I think the Julius Randle thing is a even weirder fit. What?
Yeah,
what
it
you
just
said.
doesn't work. He's not a player that fits Anthony Edwards' style. I think Anthony Edwards and Jalen Brunson play very similar, except Anthony Edwards will finish at the rim, whereas Jalen Brunson will pull up from 10 feet.
Yeah.
Like, they both try to attack the rim and wiggle through the defense to get up close. And that was constantly a problem with Julius Randle because he could not spread the floor.
Yeah.
So now you have Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle down there. Jaden McDaniels isn't a great floor spacer. Mike Conley's not that great. Like, their three-point shooting's going to be piss poor next year.
I wouldn't say piss poor, but it's going to be mid at best.
At best. And we've consistently seen that you need to be top 10 minimum at three-point shooting in the league if you're going to win a championship.
Yeah. And that's what they were last year with Cat.
Yeah. I think they got deeper, sure, but they're probably expecting Anthony Edwards to take like a top 5 player type jump. If that's the case, I get it. Trying to get the ball out of other people's hands more than his. But at the same time, just the fit's not there. Like, if I'm them, I'm trading. John Collins is still with Atlanta, right? Or is he with the Jazz?
He's with the Jazz.
Okay, then I'm sending Cat to there, and I'm trying to get like a power forward that could shoot. Like, I'm getting John Collins back instead of that, and getting a shooter from the Jazz to bring in
Colin Sexton and John.
Yeah,
Collins.
I'm getting something like that back where I know it's not really going to hurt Anthony Edwards' ability to get to the rim because that's what he's best at.
Right. Yeah.
So I think it could work if Anthony Edwards.
Think it's going to work like people might expect it to.
They didn't get better. I don't think they got that much worse. But
I think they got a little worse.
Yeah, I don't think they got that much
worse.
But
the spacing's not going to be what it was last year, and teams are gonna key in on Anthony Edwards, and it's going to be about Rudy Gobert and Julius Randle to pick up the slack. But like we said, it's not going to be a consistent every night thing, and it shows in this NBA. Like, you got to get it from somewhere. So.
Yeah, and I think Minnesota might not be done this offseason, but it's like, if you're going to get worse talent-wise on your team, you better increase your assets, and they only got one first-round pick that was a at-worst pick swap. So it's like, I don't know. I don't really see it working out that well. They'll still be a playoff team. They'll still be a top 6 seed.
Yeah.
But I don't see them making a run quite like they did last year, and that's really going to piss some people off, most namely Anthony Edwards. So we'll see. I love it for the Knicks, though, dude. The Knicks are awesome. I can't wait to watch them play.
Oh yeah, they're definitely a primetime team, and I'm sure when they play the Sixers, I will be there.
Absolutely, bro.
I will definitely be there watching. Because that's a potential playoff series.
Absolutely.
Second round.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
So we'll see how that goes. Shout out the Knicks, though, for actually doing stuff worth a damn. We've lived long enough to finally see the Knicks be a finals contender.
Yep, facts, dude.
I remember. I don't want to get too far off topic, but I remember when Kevin Knox was supposed to be the savior, and Frank Ntilikina.
Yeah.
Crazy times we used to live in, bro.
Yeah, bro. It's wild. The ghost of Derrick Rose.
Aaron Aflalo.
Yeah. Speaking of which, shout out Derrick Rose on announcing your retirement.
Yep. Shout out, bro.
Yep. First MVP who's not going to be a Hall of Famer.
Tough.
Yeah, it's tough.
Absolutely tough. Means we're getting older too. But shout out
to
D-Rose.
All right, bro. Let's get back into football.
Yeah.
All right. So my favorite segment that we've ever done. Okay, step by step. I'm bringing it back this week. All right. Going into week 5, let's just hammer it right away. Okay, bro?
All right.
So going into week 5 in the basement, there's been one switch. Okay. 2 switches, actually. The Patriots dropped back into the basement. They were out last 2 weeks. And then the Jags fall in there. They're 0-4. I don't know what's wrong with Jacksonville. They're just awful. They can't really seem to get momentum anywhere they go. I think they've had a pretty tough schedule, but Trevor Lawrence just isn't the guy, and Doug Peterson's on the hot seat now.
Yeah. It's tough because, Doug's a good coach. I mean, we kind of saw this with us the last year he coached us.
Yep.
Like, things just didn't go right. His quarterback looked like a deer in headlights. and the whole team fell apart. And that's kind of what we're seeing here with the Jags. Definitely didn't see that coming though. But the Patriots, you know, you enjoyed your time out the basement, and now it's time to get back in the basement.
Yeah,
So,
like at this point, I think like a number one pick, arguably one of the greatest quarterback draft prospects of all time. Like at some point, we just have to admit the guy can't play at the professional level. He can't really.
yeah.
Yeah, I mean he's better
That's okay.
than Daniel Jones, but
Yeah.
you know, is he?
What's
50?
that going to get you?
Yeah, not much. 0-4 start and in the basement. That's what it's going to get you.
Yep.
All right, next slide. So this is the what now tier.
Okay.
All of these teams have quarterback decisions that need to be made. Kyler Murray, for me, like when we see him that when he's on, he's almost unstoppable. Why can't we get that almost week to week? Like it's either he's unbelievable or he's just bad. There's no consistency with him. And like they're kind of at a crossroads to where like how are we supposed to improve this team? Like I think they're a little bit more fun with Marvin Harrison Jr., but there's no improvement of this team off of their draft.
That's kind of been the Kyler Murray experience.
Yeah,
you know?
It has.
He's had his ebbs and flows, more flows than ebbs, but it's tough, and especially paying a guy that as much as they're paying him, it's a tough bag to move off of.
Yeah, it is, and for all these teams. So number 4 for the Browns, just he can't play anymore. He's just not the guy. We thought maybe he could get better, but he's just not performing, and that team's got too much talent for them to be that bad, and it all lies at his feet. Tua, concussion issue, he'll be back, but I had to bring the Dolphins all the way down here because with what they have now, they're just ass.
I mean, it's kind of on brand though, because you think about, you know, he's had these concussions, and it's like, you know, what are you going to do now? Like if he retires, or what is he going to retire? Is that the question, or does he keep playing?
Yeah, at this point,
at the moment, no.
Yeah,
they got our guy Snoop Huntley, Pro Bowl alternate. Not looking good though.
No, it's not. So, New York, I actually think New York came out of the basement because I think they've actually played pretty well the last couple of weeks, despite losing. Daniel Jones has looked fine. Malik Neighbors and Wan'Dale Robinson are 2 really fun young receivers, dude. Malik Neighbors right now is a top 3 fantasy guy, and Wan'Dale Robinson's one of the best slots in football this year. They're actually kind of fun to watch. I won't lie.
Yeah, they're not that bad. Devin Singletary has been okay.
Yeah,
it's just great.
We know that there's a very, very low ceiling for Daniel Jones. So, so that's where they sit. Denver, they're at a spot where they're just waiting for development. They're not that good. They got a nice win in week 4. We'll talk about that more, I'm sure. But right now they still sit here because they're not that good. The Raiders, they're losing talent quickly. Who knows if Max Crosby is going to be on the trade block at some point, but Davante Adams is not going to be there. And then the Colts, Anthony Richardson, I honestly don't think he can play, and now he's hurt again. So
now they got Flacco.
Yeah, Joe Flacco's
Shout
there.
out to Joe Flacco.
Yeah,
bro, he should have got run.
Yeah,
with probably a third of these teams. All of these teams in the what now tier and the basement could have used his services.
I agree, and he went to a team that like the Colts are smart and he's smart. Like they knew, like, all right, Anthony Richardson got banged up early on. He's a hard runner. He takes contact. Let's bring in a smart, savvy backup quarterback, and it's worked out for them. They got to win. I think there's a ceiling with this team.
Yeah, there definitely is.
Yeah,
but
so
he's a good bridge.
I agree. All right, weekly frustration. All these teams kind of had some expectations going into this year, and they just consistently let us down. We'll start with the Birds, dude. The Birds have had 2 bad wins and 2 bad losses.
Yeah,
they've not looked good buzzer to buzzer in any week this year. Week
Except
1,
for maybe week 1. That's
but I don't count week 1 because it was an outlier type week.
I know, but I'm just saying, like,
I agree. Yeah. And now if they did that at home or on the road in a normal stadium, I'd be more comfortable. But we said going into it was going to be a really funky game, and it was. They just have not looked good in any particular week. The only reason they didn't get trounced even more last week by the Bucks is because Saquon Barkley ripped off a run. You're not going to get a 70-yard run from Saquon every week. Like if he didn't do that, you're looking at a 40-10 ball game. So my thing is, what's really disappointing to me for the Eagles, and we will touch on this more when we get to the spread picks later. I don't want to spend too much time on it, but you lose to Tampa pretty much the exact same score last year.
In the exact same fashion.
Last year. You deal with that taste in your mouth all offseason. You add all these players. You switch up your coordinators just for the same thing to happen 4 weeks later.
I mean, given we were without our top two pass catchers and our right tackle.
Here's my thing, though. I don't think that would have done much because Jalen Hurts has done the same thing with or without them. Turnover, put the ball on the ground, just inconsistency. Like, obviously, yes, they probably would have played better if they were there, but I'm saying, like, the result's the same. Like, and the vibe is the same. Like, it doesn't feel like a different year.
The the same.
Huh?
The game plan's the same. We had 9 plays. We ran it twice. Saquon had 10 touches, bro. 10.
Yeah.
Everybody was saying this was carbon copy of last year's playoff game. No AJ Brown. We don't have AJ Brown. What are we going to do? We're going to run the football.
Yep.
We don't have AJ Brown or Davante Smith.
No.
What are we going to do? We have Saquon Barkley. We're going to run the football. What do we do?
Yeah.
Fucking try to pass all over the yard.
Yeah, like a lot of things. Just...
We'll get into it because I'm going to sound off low key.
Yeah.
And I kind of have two sides to it. One side's me talking myself off the bridge, and the other side's a little more optimistic. But it is frustrating every week. This is one of the most talented teams in the NFL, and it is fucking criminal. It's criminal that this team looks so pathetic at 2-2, and it starts again with Nick Sirianni.
I agree. We'll get into it more.
Yeah.
Because I have some thoughts too. You and I will bounce back and forth. Yeah. But Cincinnati, I think Burrow actually since week 1 has been fucking awesome. I just think their defense is so bad, and the only game that they've won is at home against Carolina. So they can't really get much love there. Who knows? Maybe they make a wild card push because of how great Joe Burrow is playing. It's just it's not leading to wins.
Yeah. It's still frustrating though, because like they play good, but they lose these close games.
Yeah.
They got one, against Carolina, but still, Washington was frustrating because you thought they would win there. Kansas City was frustrating. They controlled that most of the game.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, and then like they let the Panthers back in the door a little bit in this last week too. So
yeah.
New Orleans, I just think they started off really fast those first 2 weeks, and they've kind of been somewhat of a disappointment the last two. Against Philly, they were kind of bad. They did pick it back up this last week. At 2-2, Derek Carr's your quarterback. I don't know if you could really expect them to get back to form, so they dropped pretty far. Chicago, simply enough, Caleb's got to play better. He's too inconsistent as a rookie compared to what some other guys are doing.
Yep.
LA Rams, at the end of the day, it's just injuries, and it seems like every week they have a new IR placement of a starting player. It sucks, but it's where we're at.
It's frustrating, but it is what it is.
And Dallas, the reason I put them this low too is because they're 2-2, and I think they've played solid. It's just if all 3 of their top 3 stars aren't playing at best in their position type level, they're going to lose. If Micah's not Micah, CeeDee's not CeeDee, and Dak's not Dak, they're just not going to win games. And it's been honestly at the feet of Micah Parsons pretty much all season. He's been a no-show because teams have figured him out. He's got to figure out how to play against the run at some point.
Yeah. Problem is now they're without Micah Parsons potentially, for this week. Tank Lawrence is on IR. They're really banged up on the defense, and again, lack of running game keeps rearing its ugly head. I wouldn't be shocked if this team loses its next 3.
No, it's very possible.
I really don't.
It's very possible, and the running game's been piss poor.
Like we want to say, with the Eagles, the sky's falling.
Yeah.
Nobody's talking about the sky's falling for Dallas.
No.
like you see the problems that they have.
Yep.
And the way the schedule's lining up for them.
Yeah.
The sky's falling for Dallas. And it's kind of to be expected.
Yep. All right. Next tier. This is the 500 reset tier.
Mm-hmm.
All these teams are pretty good. All these teams can make the playoffs. They've started off 2-2. They've had all these teams have had really high highs and really low lows. But they're at a point right now where they can go into this week fresh reset. We're 0-0. And we could just keep moving forward. Like Green Bay, they got Jordan Love back. The Jets, they had the reason why. So the Jets and the Eagles, I think you and I agree, have been in a very similar position so far this year. The only reason the Jets are a tier higher than the Eagles is because I think the Jets in week 3 on Thursday night against the Pats, I mean, granted it was the Pats, but I think that was one of the only like complete buzzer to buzzer, all parts of the team were playing well, dominating wins all season. Like, I don't think any team consistently, every player on the roster and every facet of the game dominated quite like the Jets did in week 3. So for that reason, they don't slide, but they also had arguably the worst loss in the last 5 years this past week too. So that's sort of where we sit with that. San Francisco, they got some guys hopefully coming back from injury, except for Christian McCaffrey, who's got Achilles tendonitis in both Achilles.
Both. It's just worse than one. That's crazy.
Yeah, it's awful. The Madden curse.
Yep. We tried to tell y'all in the off season, bro.
Yep. Never hope your favorite player gets on the Madden cover. That's just how it is. Atlanta, they started off slow, but I think Kirk's actually finally settling in. I mean, looking at this game tonight, they just scored a nice touchdown to go up 14-10. They've looked pretty solid the last 2 weeks, so they're improving. And then LA, the Chargers, they just got to figure out how to consistently put it all together on offense. I feel like when the running game's working, they can't get the pass. When the pass is working, they can't get the running game. Their defense has been consistent, but all these teams are 2-2, get a nice reset going into week 5.
Yep.
All right. Smash Mouth football tier. All right. All 4 of these teams, these are probably the top 4 running games in the league. All 4 of these teams, all 4 of these quarterbacks minus Jared Goff can get the ball on the ground, run the ball 50 times in a game, and win convincingly. All these teams have been really fun to watch. But that's basically all I have for this tier. Washington has been incredibly surprising. Jaden Daniels is like 86% completion percentage this season. Lamar and Derrick Henry have figured it out. Derrick Henry's been unstoppable the last couple of weeks. The Steelers with Justin Fields doing it on the ground, awesome. Plus their smash mouth defense. And then David Montgomery and Jahmyr Gibbs work wonders together. So this is the smash mouth football tier.
Yeah. I mean, all these tiers, great running games, great defense, just
all of them.
Old
smash
school.
mouth football. Yep.
Old school.
Absolutely.
Love it.
All right. Moving on. Let's see here. Switch my notes here. The one bad loss tier. It's self-explanatory. All 3 of these teams had a really, really bad loss. Buffalo was an absolute no-show in Baltimore. Tampa Bay got blown out by Denver, and Houston got blown out by Tampa?
Minnesota.
Yeah. Just all 3 of these teams have looked great in all 3 of their other games, but they just have had one bad loss. I expect all these teams to probably win their division, though, so they don't really fall. Houston dropped from the number 1 spot 2 weeks ago just because of that game. Plus, I don't think they looked great against Jacksonville either. It took a game-winning drive to beat them. So, one bad loss. The opposites attract here. Opposites attract. The reason I put this here is because you've got a defensive coach in Seattle and an offensive coach in Kansas City. You've got a team with great weapons and a mid quarterback, and then you have a team with a great quarterback and mid weapons. They're kind of polar opposites. You have a Hall of Fame quarterback and like a criminally underrated quarterback. Like complete opposite teams, but find themselves pretty much in the same position. I think Seattle, the reason why I have them above Buffalo, Tampa, and Houston, the only game that they lost was this past week against Detroit in Detroit, and they played well in the game and had a chance to win it.
It was a close game.
Yeah, they've looked good in all 4 of their games.
Yeah.
So I put them on this list next to Kansas City. Kansas City stays the 2 spot because, again, they had a close win. It was ugly. They lose Rashee Rice moving forward. Travis Kelce's kind of back. I don't expect him to be super consistent, but that's where we're at with there. And then the last tier, the 99 Rams.
With Sam Darnold, bro.
Dude, the
Former Jet again, taking the league by storm.
The 1999 Rams, bro. Does it sound familiar? A QB steps into a situation with great weapons, great coaching, a great defense, and surprisingly excels. What does that sound like? The 1999 Kurt Warner-led Rams.
Yeah.
So
I mean, listen, I'm going to pump the brakes a little bit because
I get it.
Aaron Jones is not fucking Marshall Faulk, bro.
No,
Okay?
and it's not. It's not it's not like the teams aren't the same. It's the
Yeah.
story of the quarterback.
I got you, but
Yep.
I mean, the Vikings have been playing tremendous football.
Yeah.
Being the best probably in the league.
Yeah, they've looked the best. Yeah. They have not had a bad performance. They've not had a lucky win. They've just been dominant consistently week to week.
Yeah, and it's crazy to see that, like, because I mean, we had no expectations for the Vikings whatsoever.
No, not at all.
We thought with JJ McCarthy
wins on the season. 4 wins on the season. They're at 4-0 right now.
Yeah, I mean, at best, you thought maybe they could be like a frisky team. Yeah, vying for a wild card spot, but the way that they're playing right now, like, yeah, they are playing like the 99 Rams. I mean, Justin Jefferson's playing out of his mind. They're getting TJ Hawkinson back at some point too, so that's going to add to the fuel to the fire for Sam Darnold.
Yeah.
And like you said, that defense is playing tremendous football.
Yep.
So. Yeah. Who would have thought we would have been putting Minnesota at the top of this list?
Facts. And not only like how good the offense have played, Brian Flores might win defensive coordinator of the year if there's such a thing. Like, he would be the certified winner for that.
Yeah.
And then Cliff Kingsbury would be the offensive coordinator of the year for Washington. Like, this team has been awesome, and it's like consistent, and it looks repeatable. Like, Sam Darnold's not doing anything out of his level of power.
Yeah,
like
he's just efficient as hell.
He's always had a solid arm. He's always had a ability to move. It's just he hasn't had really good rosters. He hasn't had good coaching. You put a guy like that who was really good coming out of USC, who had a bit of a rocket arm, like, and there's a little bit of takeoff now. So
yeah, and he hasn't really had the opportunity. So
no,
now he has it, and he might get a max contract when it's all said and done.
He might. Like, I wouldn't be surprised. My thing is, you drafted JJ McCarthy so high that, like, I just don't know how you give up on Darnold. Like, if he starts to fall, if he falls off the cliff, sure. But if they go 12-5 and he's 30 touchdowns, 12 picks, and 4,400 yards, I don't know how you move off of that.
Right.
So I don't know. Maybe maybe they run into a situation like the Falcons now, where you sit Michael Penix for 3-4 years. Maybe you do something like that.
I mean, you bring up the Rams as kind of a interesting carbon copy comparison, because I mean, they had capital in Trent Green that season, and he went out, and here comes Kurt Warner out of nowhere.
Yep,
takes the league by storm and steals his job. So.
Yeah,
kind of just working in reverse with young guy to vet.
Yeah, but if they finish 12-5, I wouldn't be surprised if he gets a 3-year, $100 million deal, just like Baker did.
Yeah.
So $33 million is not a lot for a quarterback anymore. So
yep, it's a going rate.
All right, bro. What are your thoughts? What are your biggest complaint? What's one of the things you really like about it that you weren't expecting? Like, here, tell me about it.
Well, I really wasn't expecting the Vikings to be, 99 Rams.
Yeah.
It's not because you have them down in the weekly frustration tier, but I'm just frustrated with the Eagles right now.
Yep.
It's just criminal the way, like, the work that Howie Roseman did in this offseason to get the team back into position to compete and have a deep playoff run for Nick Sirianni to just be absolutely fumbling the bag right now. And pretty much everybody's kind of all out, and it's kind of a big disaster. Is frustrating. But I mean, what are you gonna do? I really don't hate the list.
Yeah.
I think honestly my favorite tier is Smash Mouth Football.
Yeah.
Because I feel like all of these teams have a theme.
Yeah.
But if any of them were gonna have a theme, it's that theme.
Yep.
Probably the most physical teams in the league. Most physical defenses.
Yep.
Great running game. Like
Now, would you have ever guessed that I would have these 4 quarterbacks as my top 10 teams? Justin Fields, Josh Allen, Geno Smith, and Sam Darnold would be in the top 10 for teams in the league.
would not have guessed it, bro.
Hey, listen, I had to swallow my pride.
Yeah.
Okay.
Geno Smith, bro.
Yeah. I don't even think Geno's played that well this year. They've just been so good. Their coaching staff is awesome.
I don't know though, bro. He played pretty good on Monday night.
I just think he's got a couple more turnovers than I'd like. They've just been able to overcome them.
Yeah, but yeah, again, he's overcame him. He's played pretty good.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, no, I don't hate it at all. I just hope that we get our shit together and we can get back up this fucking ladder.
Yeah. I'm telling you right now, though, if you lose this week, you're probably going into the next tier down, having a lot of questions about Jalen Hurts.
I don't know. It's the people that say it. The problem is Jalen Hurts are wrong.
I think it's
Nick Sirianni is the problem.
There's been
Let me tell you what.
31 turnovers in 22 games as of late.
Let me tell you what.
Mhm.
You want to move on, and we can just hop right into it.
Yeah. Let's get right over to the spread fix.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Let's just hop right into, the Eagles completely getting blown the fuck out by Baker and the Bucks.
Yeah.
In Tampa. Maybe we should have tempered expectations just because, we're without A.J. Brown, Davante Smith, but I did not expect us to just look so inept offensively.
Yeah.
And, yeah, Jalen Hurts may have a turnover problem right now.
For the last year and a half.
Yeah, he may have a turnover problem. But when I watch the film, bro, it looks like the same mundane vanilla shit that we got at the end of last year.
Mm-hmm.
With what are we trying to do offensively? You tell me. Like where's the motion? Where's the play action? Where's the run game? It's all the same shit.
Yeah.
The same shit as last year. And Jalen Hurts alluded to it in his press conference because they asked him, hey, what's the conversation between you and Nick in the bye week to, fix this? His answer was this. We have our moments. That was his answer, bro. How do you fix this? We have our moments. That was the answer. I think he's out. I think he's mentally checked out.
If you guys end up, how bad does it have to get for him to get fired midseason? Do you 2-4?
I think if we go like 1 of 3 in the next stretch, I think he gets fired. Yeah. I would, if we lose to the Browns out of the bye, I would fire him because this is ridiculous. The squad that we have, we should not be under 500 at any point.
No,
in the year.
No,
we should not lose 2 games in a row. Yeah. We shouldn't be under 500. We are 19th in motion.
Yeah.
19th in motion, bro.
Yep.
This is not a Kellen Moore offense. This is a Nick Sirianni offense. Bro lied to us. He gaslit the fuck out of everybody. He said, I'm just a passenger. I ain't driving the boat. Kellen Moore, his offenses has always been in the top 10 in motion. Every single year he has been a play caller, top 10 offense in motion. Dallas, top 5. You look at the Chargers last year. Where are they? They might have been top 5.
Yeah.
In motion. The Eagles are 19th.
Yep.
This is not a Kellen Moore offense, bro. He does not have the keys. Nick Sirianni's grimy fucking hands are still on the game plan. Get him off the sticks, bro.
Yeah.
You can't play the game. It's ridiculous. And just it all bleeds into the players because then you look on the defensive side of the ball, the tackling issues, it's piss poor. And that's on Nick. It's on Vic Fangio. They had 18 missed tackles. 18!
Yeah.
For over 100 yards. didn't
That's
miss
not
tackles.
coaching. That's not coaching. That's effort.
It's effort. It is coaching,
Yeah.
technique.
Yeah. Accountability from coaches. Yeah.
Yeah, accountability. And you know what we're doing? We are diving at legs. Because you know what we do with this tackle drill? We just launch ourselves 3 yards away from a rolling donut. That's the tackling drill. We don't get our body on anybody, pause. We just dive at legs, and it shows in the game.
Oh, absolutely.
Like what are we doing during the week? Really? Like what the hell are we doing? Like every time I see Davante Maddox miss a tackle, it's because bro is harpooning himself into the legs of Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
Yes, bro is going to put you in the dirt like Derrick Henry, and you're gonna get you're gonna miss the tackle. It's frustrating. People want to say it's a personnel thing. Jalen Hurts is a bad quarterback. I don't think so.
He's not helping.
It's not helping. But I just think he's mentally checked out on Nick Sirianni. I don't think he trusts him.
Mm-mm.
I don't.
No. Especially when you consistently it's been the same shit since week 1 of last year. You come in with a game plan, you make 0 adjustments at halftime, and you run the same shit the next week. And you constantly say, we just need to trust the process. We gotta follow the game plan. We gotta,
better.
We gotta be better.
I gotta change. I gotta do X, Y, Z. And bro does nothing.
None of that helps when the original process is garbage. It doesn't matter how good you get at a process. If it sucks, it sucks.
Well, my whole thing is this. The theme of this year was, all right, we're going to bring in these experienced coordinators to run their sides of the ball, and I'm going to be CEO, situational, rah-rah guy.
Yeah.
We're not seeing that.
No, you're not.
Specifically for the offensive side of the ball, we are not seeing that.
The only emotion
you're
getting...
We brought Kellen Moore here to run his scheme in the offense.
Yep.
We saw it week 1. We saw a lot of Kellen Moore week 1, and it looked good. Sure, it was week 1. It was the first time our guys are out there. And, it was a weird game because we're in Brazil. But we played a good team in Green Bay. We all consider them to be a playoff contender, potentially Super Bowl contender, whatever. They played a good game, and we saw glimpses of that Kellen Moore scheme. And it looked good. Particularly second, third quarter, once they started getting it going. It looked good. Where is that?
I don't know.
You tell me, where did that go, bro? Did Nick Sirianni say, yeah, this is cool. I want to do my shit. I want to do my, everybody runs 5 yards, sits down on a curl route, or everybody runs the 4 verticals.
Yeah.
We have serious issues that if we can sit here as stupid fans and see the issues.
Yep.
What the hell are these guys getting paid millions and millions of dollars to do that they can't see these issues? And then on top of it, we have players worrying about, you still on the game, Mike Evans? You want to play Fortnite? And then Slay going on the Micah Parsons podcast to talk shit about CJ Gardner-Johnson.
Yeah.
We have a character issue.
No one cares. No one cares.
It's ridiculous. How? You tell me how. How does a guy with a C on his chest go on the Ops podcast? The biggest op for the Eagles goes on the podcast to talk shit about your teammate.
I don't know, dude.
And then he has a burner account defending himself on Twitter, bro. Make it make sense.
It's
what is life, bro? This is 2020 all over again.
You can keep digging and digging too. There's a lot of you can be the coaching scheme sucks. There's enough these guys don't care because they basically got their whole contract up front too, so they don't give a fuck how they play until the last year of their deal. There's so many things that could probably bake into the character thing. I don't know if it's a reach, but the way they structure these contracts that are just giving them most of the money up front to keep the cap hit low, Like they're like, oh sweet, I just basically got my whole contract. Why do I have to perform when I'm barely making anything? Like you know what I mean? There's little things like that combined with the coaches not caring and just not putting out a good offensive scheme or defensive scheme. It's just there's so much that bakes into it that AJ Brown and Davante Smith coming back are not going to fix it. They're just not going to. Because your offense didn't look very good with them there. So, like, I don't expect it.
Week 1, it did, though. It looked good week 1. Yeah, it was a little bumpy because it was week 1. But
week 1,
you got to be honest, though. It did look good. And that's the only game that we had both of those guys, and pretty much our whole starting offense was healthy that whole game, and it looked good. But I go back to the scheme, the play calling, the game plan. That was a lot more Kellen Moore than it was Nick Sirianni. And I'm telling you, bro, if you watch these plays, what is called, this is not Kellen Moore designed plays, bro. Especially the last 2 weeks.
Yep.
I'm like, where's the motion? We saw first 2 weeks, we saw motion. We saw, different looks. Where's the motion? I saw like 0 motion last week.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, we got our ass beat by Tampa last year. Let's just run the same game plan. It makes no sense. So
it really doesn't.
That's me saying the world is ending.
Mm-hmm.
For me to talk myself off the ledge, though, we're at the bye week.
Yep.
And honestly, it couldn't have come at a better time for us to just kind of fly under the radar and try to figure out these issues if we are worth a shit to figure it out. And getting AJ Brown, Davante Smith, Lane Johnson back is going to help a little bit. How much, we'll see. Because honestly, we are 2-2 in spite of Nick Sirianni. We could be, and we probably should be 0-4 because of Nick Sirianni.
Yep.
So, they're definitely going to make it better. And the fact that we have the 32nd ranked strength of schedule to end the rest of the season also helps. But again, this is the NFL. You can't take any game lightly.
No.
But definitely the next 4, Browns, Giants, Bengals, Jaguars, should be a good springboard potentially for us to, kind of get back on track.
Yeah.
If Nick Sirianni and this team, Jalen Hurts, Vic Fangio, Darius, they do some soul searching. They need some serious soul searching.
Yeah.
Because they're wasting a Super Bowl window.
Yep.
That's exactly what we're doing. And if we come out and we lose 3 of our next 4, Nick Sirianni, if he's not fired, I will go to NovaCare and drag him out myself.
As you should.
I don't stand for this, bro. I went through Chip Kelly. I don't stand for this. I suffered too many years for this to be how it goes.
Yep.
So yeah, that's my thoughts. Hopefully our boys get the shit back together.
Yeah.
Because we have the talent to be a top team in the NFL, but it again. Say what you want about Jalen. Yes, he has to clean his turnover stuff up. He's just looked kind of, he just looks like he's thinking too much. It starts with Nick Sirianni and that offensive game plan. Yeah. Bro needs to get his hands off and let Kellen Moore cook.
Last thing before I get into my rant about my team. I don't know what evidence there is that tells me that Jalen Hurts just isn't a guy that can. I don't think he can. He's only great when everything's perfect, like other guys in the league, like a Kirk, like a Dak, like a Tua. That's where I'm starting to put Jalen Hurts at this point, because we see it consistently when it's just not perfect situation. He just can't overcome it. And we'll see moving forward, like if he pulls his head out of his ass. But at some point, 20 games in a row post Steichen, you're at 30 turnovers. We'll see.
Yeah, it's
We'll
a
see.
problem. But again, I mean,
he's still young too. So
he's still a young quarterback. And
Yep.
again, I think it's coaching malpractice, which is the root of it. And he sees it, and he isn't. He just doesn't. He doesn't believe in it. He doesn't believe the message. I think he's checked out, which is why you see a lot of these, like, he's sitting on the ball too long. He's just not seeing the field right. He's turning it over. Like, he just doesn't believe in what Nick Sirianni's saying. Like,
and my thing is, if he's checked out, then that's just bad leadership.
Yeah.
So, all right. And getting into my team.
Yeah. We're both frustrated, bro.
How do we go from one of the most complete games we've seen from any team this year on Thursday Night Football against the Pats last week to what we got against Denver this week? So let me just lay out all the advantages that we had, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So we'll start with the easy ones. We're at home. Okay? That's one.
Yep.
We had a mini bye. Last time we played was Thursday before that.
Yep.
Bo Nix is a rookie quarterback who has not looked good this season at all.
Yep.
Piss poor weather, and we have a good running game compared to theirs, who has been god-awful all year. That's another one. Let's get into some more technical ones. Aaron Rodgers, off a mini bye at home, 13-0 in his career.
Yeah.
That was the least amount of yards on 25 completions or more in NFL history. 60 yards.
Unreal.
We had 3 or more sacks in the first 3 games. We had 0 pressures in week 4. And, of course, to top it all off, we miss a field goal to lose a game. I don't understand. You and I are in the same boat, minus the quarterback turnover issues and things like that and health. But my coaching staff is just god-awful. It is god-awful. I love Jeff Ulbrich as a defensive coordinator. I love it. He's been great since he's gotten there 2 years ago. But Rob Saleh cannot coach. He cannot stand up in front of a podium. He's not a rah-rah guy. He just can't contain himself. He makes bad ball decisions. And Nat Hackett just can't put together a good offense consistently. He just can't. I think there was a little bit of lightning in the bottle, plus Matt LaFleur being there in Green Bay. How much of Nat Hackett's hand was on the stick? Maybe it was like what makes me think of how Nat Hackett was on that offensive staff and they had that good of a team and an offense while he was there. Like, it had to have been Matt LaFleur's offensive playbook, and all Nat Hackett was doing was calling plays.
Yeah.
That had to be what it was, because you cannot tell me that this man knows how to put together a good offense after what we've seen. This is arguably the most weapons he's had since like his MVP years. Like, I mean, including the MVP years. So, like, I don't know where we go from here. Breece Hall had 10 carries for 4 yards in a game. Like, we only ran the ball 19 times and we threw it 30. What are we doing? It's a wet, rainy day against a bad team that can't pass. Run the football.
Yeah.
I don't care if Breece Hall has 10 carries for 4 yards. I'd be more comfortable with 20 carries for 10 yards. And Braylon Allen only getting 8 touches. And then they were on the goal line. 1st and 1. Breece Hall run, Breece Hall run, Breece Hall run, Breece Hall run, turnover on downs. Where was Braylon Allen? Where was the 6'3", 250-pound running back on the 1 yard line?
Where was baby Derrick Henry, bro?
Where was he? The number 1 rated PFF runner in football. Where was he?
You tell
me. At the 1 yard line. At least we didn't throw it and throw a pick like in the Super Bowl, like Seattle. But where's Braylon Allen in that situation? I have no idea. Garrett Wilson and Aaron Rodgers just are not on the same page whatsoever. I don't know what it is. I don't know if they're trying too many things or they're not really working to his strengths. I can't really put my finger on it. But this team's got an offensive. This team's got a coaching problem.
Yeah.
It's got a bad coaching problem. If we don't get up early in these games, I don't know how we're going to win moving forward. I think Davante Adams coming in can mask a little bit of it, especially when we have a quarterback like Aaron Rodgers that's overcome a lot. I mean, because you look at a coach like Mike McCarthy and you look at an offensive coordinator like Nat Hackett. Clearly, he was overcoming some adversity in Green Bay.
Right.
So
it's kind of similar situation to the Eagles, though. You think about it, like
it is.
Coaching malpractice on the offensive side of the ball, except it's not offensive coordinator, but the guy that claims to be running the show, or is not running the show.
Yeah.
It's the issue of the guy who's really running the show. Nat Hack really running your show. Nick Sirianni is really running my show, and these guys really don't know what the fuck they're doing offensively.
No
so
idea.
You get things like this.
Yep.
And that's where the root of all of this stems from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's been disappointing. I don't know how, like, everything was working towards us just getting a win this week. Like the opponent, the mini bye, the weather with our running game, how bad Bo Nix was playing, like everything. How do you let a team run for 6 yards a carry that can't throw the ball? How do you just let that happen? If I'm playing Denver in that second half, knowing how bad Bo Nix played, I'm putting 9 in the box. I'm going to let them try to run it. I'm going to let Bo Nix throw the ball all over the place he just can't get it to his receivers. And I'm just going to get the ball back. Like, we were just letting them do whatever they wanted in the run game, and they could not pass. So how is that even possible? When there's only 2 things you can do. You can run, you can pass. When you can't pass, all you're left is with run. So why are we not defending the run? I was very frustrated. I mean, again, we're 2-2. And I think we've seen more positive things out of the Jets than we've seen out of the Eagles. I don't know if you agree with that.
Yeah, I'd say so. I feel like a lot of it has to do with, Aaron Rodgers has a lot of say.
Yeah.
As I guess Jalen Hurts doesn't have as much say as we thought.
Nope.
Or Nick Sirianni has more say than we thought. I think that's the kicker.
That's it. Yeah. There's a lot of things that need to happen. I don't really like the matchup this week. I mean, we'll get into it. I guess we'll transition right into it because we already picked. We both took Atlanta. The Buccaneers at the 2-minute warning of the second half just went up 24-17. It's a high scoring outing.
Yep.
But yeah, so that's where we sit with that. We took, of course, Atlanta to cover.
Still a lot of ball left played though.
Still a lot of ball.
Does Tampa have the ball?
No, it's going to Atlanta at the 2-minute warning.
Okay.
They just scored. I forget who opened with the ball. Atlanta opened with the ball, so Tampa gets it at half.
Okay.
So the Jets. It's a London game, so luckily it's not in Minnesota. Minnesota has had an incredible home field advantage all year.
Yeah.
It's been really cool to watch them at home. Luckily it's in London. It's not in their environment. Yep. I would have been pissed if we wasted a home game in London, so I'm happy we're technically the away team.
Yep.
Only being 2.5-point dogs is interesting to me.
Right.
Like what are they seeing that we're not? Because this is the week where guys that opened up the season on IR typically come back. I'm pretty sure TJ Hawkinson's going to play.
I don't think that's been the indications from what I've read.
Okay.
I don't think it would matter though.
Yeah.
For the Vikings game plan, but I think the Jets hand them their first L.
Do you really?
I really do. I'm going with the Jets here at +2.5. London games are always weird. They always have a weird, level playing field type of effect. As great as the Vikings have been, I think the Jets still, with some fundamental coaching issues, have the talent to hang with the Vikings. And if I'm in a close game scenario, I think I want Aaron Rodgers on my side.
Yeah.
The only thing. The key here for the Jets is that pass protection because the Vikings have been getting at it.
Yeah.
In terms of their pass rush and their defense. So y'all need to
Fashanu
protect
has to
Aaron
be better.
Rodgers.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
dumb.
Here, the thing is, though, like this past week, we didn't really. It wasn't a problem of not being able to pass protect. We just kept jumping on Aaron Rodgers' cadence. Like I think if anything was an outlier last week, it was absolutely the issues with the offensive line because they've been practicing with the same cadence. It just happened to be a jumpy day. I don't expect that to be much of an issue this week. I'm interested to see Olu Fashanu in a situation where it's not a misty, rainy day. But he's going to have a tough matchup, whether it be Zadarius Smith or Jonathan Grenard on that side. It's going to be interesting, but I think we'll be okay. They might get 3 sacks, but I don't expect there to be pressure all day, especially with how we run the ball. So we'll see. We'll see. I think it'll be an average pass protection day. I don't think it's going to be crazy.
Yeah, as long as it's good enough.
Mm-hmm.
I think
It's going to be situational protection that's going to matter the most, not overall like full game. Like third down is going to be important, things like that. So,
yep.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take the Jets too.
I just can't see you guys going down 2-3.
I can, after what we saw last week and the coaching mismatch in this game, absolutely. But we'll see. We'll see. I mean, this would be the spot where Minnesota gets their first loss, I think.
Yeah, I think
so.
But,
I mean, because if they win this game, when are we ever going to pick against them? So
at some point, they have to drop one. It's not like they're going to be the 72 Dolphins.
No.
Listen, if my team can't do it, nobody can.
Yeah. If Sam Darnold's going to be the new Dan Marino, then hey, I'm buying stock.
I'm selling all my NFL stock and I'm buying into the NBA. Fuck them.
Yep. All right, let's run it. Keep going.
All right, next game here. Division matchup. Ravens in Cincinnati taking on the Bengals in Burrowhead. Bengals are 2.5-point dogs at home. They're coming off their first win of the year. Baltimore coming off of a statement win against Buffalo.
Yep.
What do you think here? I'm not really sure. These division games are always tough.
Yeah.
I'm leaning. I'm leaning towards Baltimore here.
Okay, I'll tell you why I'm taking Cincinnati, and I won't write yours in pen yet. But I'm taking Cincinnati mainly because I think it's pretty much the same offensive roster, and in years past, we've seen them really pick it up at this point in the year. Typically, they're a really, really bad September team. Yeah. And this is what Cincinnati's done in years past. They'll reel off 8 and 9 in a row from October through December, and no one really blinks an eye. I think this is a really good spot for them. Baltimore coming off of a big heightened win. Like tough rival in the AFC, like potential playoff matchup, and they dominate. Like I don't know about you. It's possible, but I don't see them running for 300 yards again. I like this spot for Cincinnati, who's flying under the radar. Obviously they're 1-3. They need to get a win too. But I think this is a good spot for them to really to pick up. I mean, they'll be second in the division if they win this game. So I think it's very important that they do so. Because it's going to be hard to catch Pittsburgh. But yeah, I like Cincinnati at home here.
Yeah, I just don't like the Cincinnati defense. That's the thing. Like,
I don't either. I think this is going to end up being a shootout, to be honest. Like, I think this is going to be one of those games where Baltimore wins time of possession, but Cincinnati sneaks it. Like, they get down the field quick because they have to, because Derrick Henry's toting it 25 times.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to be one of those situations where it's like, oh, Cincinnati just happened to pull this out.
I'm sticking to my guns.
Baltimore?
Yeah.
I don't hate it.
I mean, what do I got to lose, bro? I mean, you look at the records overall.
Yeah.
We have regressed to the mean. I am pulling a Nick Sirianni here, reaching for rings.
Yeah, dude, it's tough. It's tough. If I have to go technically 12-4 to get back to 500. So
yeah, tough.
Yep, it's tough.
All right, next game, another division matchup. Colts on the road in Jacksonville taking on the Jags, or whatever's left of them.
Yeah.
The Jags are 2.5-point home favorites. We're not sure who the quarterback for the Colts is.
Yeah.
I know Anthony Richardson was limited in practice.
Yeah.
But Jacksonville, they've been a pretty disappointing team. Now there's Travis Etienne trade rumors, which I never thought we'd see the day.
Yeah.
But I don't know, bro.
I like the Jacksonville spot here.
I do too. I can't see them continue to lose unless Joe Flacco's playing, but it doesn't seem like he's going to.
Yeah.
I'm taking Jacksonville.
Yeah, I'm with you. I just think that they have too much talent to go 0-5. Like I know we say that a lot, where it's like, oh, I can't see this team doing this, I can't see them doing that, and it's kind of shot us in the foot. But like this is an extreme situation. It's a division rival at home where you have to have it pretty much to have any type of momentum this season. Like if they lose this game, like Doug Peterson could get fired. Like it's very well on the board. Yeah, I think the run game's been piss poor all year. Like they just have not been good in any facet of the game. So I think this is a nice little bounce back win for them. I mean, maybe they win 5 games this year, but I do like the spot.
Yeah, I do too.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Dougie, get on the board, bro.
Yep.
All right, next game, another divisional matchup here.
Snooze fest.
Snoozer with Snooper.
Mm-hmm.
Miami Dolphins in New England taking on the Patriots. Thankfully, buried in the back of the 1 p.m. time slate. This is a pick 'em. Patriots are favored at home by 1.5. Dolphins plus 1.5.
Yep.
Given the effort that we saw from Miami, I know it was 1 game.
Yeah.
I'm leaning Patriots.
I've picked a lot of home people, I think, looking at my locks and looking at what's here. I think I've picked a lot of guys at home.
I just don't know how I feel about that offense, right? I mean, I know Snoop Huntley has another week to get down and dirty in that offense, but
yeah,
it's just not clicking.
No.
And
Mm-mm.
yeah, I mean, say what you want about the Patriots. They're both 1-3, but they have a pretty good defense, pretty stingy. I think it's enough to give Miami problems. And we've seen historically this Miami roster.
Yeah.
New England's giving them fits. I know Bill Belichick was the coach, but Gerard Mayo, kind of similar, stingy defense, smash mouth football on the offensive side. I think it's going to give Miami fits. And I just think New England's a better team right now. Crazy to say, given the talent that Miami has, but
yeah, I agree. I think the difference between these two teams is I think the Dolphins are 1-3 with no direction, and I think that the New England is 1-3 with pretty good stability, to be honest. So for that reason, I like New England at home here. I think Jared Mayo, like you don't hear a peep out of them still, and despite them being 1-3, like everybody understands and knows that it's a bridge thing to get Drake May ready to go eventually. So like I'm not really tripping when it comes to New England. You don't really hear anything come out of them. So I like them to actually pull out this win and fuel the Tyreek Hill back to Kansas City rumors a little bit more.
Yeah. Which he's kind of entertained. So
yeah.
We'll see.
He misses it. I mean, it.
He does. I'm sure he does.
He's played the best ball of his career with Miami. But it's all for naught. So
right. It's all for money and stats. That's all.
Yep.
Next game. Browns in Washington taking on the Commies. Washington's 3-point home favorites. Surprisingly 3-1. Could potentially be 4-1. This is crazy. Yeah. This is crazy.
Yeah, they've played awesome. Jaden Daniels has been incredible all year. Their running game has probably been the best in football because it's been consistent every week. However, I think this is a nasty spot for them. I think this is a really bad matchup for Jaden Daniels. I actually like Cleveland to get the upset win here. Okay. Like I don't think this team quite has enough to be considered a 4-1 team. And at some point, like something's gonna regress to the mean, and if it's gonna regress to the mean, he's got to throw for 40% one week.
Yeah.
This is of all the
This
weeks,
could
this
be
is
the
the one.
week.
Yeah,
Yeah, I'm with you.
yeah, this is a bad offensive line, defensive line matchup for them.
Yeah.
I like Cleveland to pull this out, not on the back of number 4, more so on the back of the run game and the defense.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yep.
We've seen these rookies have, pretty crappy matchups when it comes to, stingy defensive teams or whatnot.
Yep.
Next game here, Buffalo on the road in Houston, taking on the Texans. 2-3-1 teams. This is a toss-up. Buffalo is favored on the road. Stephon Diggs revenge game. I think so. I'm going with Houston at home plus 1.5. I mean, both of these teams we've seen, one bad loss.
Yep.
I think Baltimore kind of put the blueprint out there how to beat this Buffalo team. I think Houston could follow that. And Stephon Diggs is going to probably have a $120.
Yeah.
In this revenge game, but I mean, both teams have looked really good. I just think Houston, talent-wise, it'll come down to that.
Yeah.
And they will get the win at home.
Yeah. I like Houston as well, I think. I think this game's going to come down to a last possession type ordeal. And I think we've seen C.J. Stroud's been able to do it this year. I mean, we just saw it last week with the game-winning drive against Jacksonville.
Yeah.
I'm not so confident that Josh Allen can put together a game-winning drive with the roster that he has around him.
Yeah.
And with it being only a spread of 1.5, Vegas is telling you it's going to be a one-possession game. So I like Houston to finish it off.
Yep.
Pause.
Yep, I'm with you there. They're at home too. So.
Yep.
Next game, Panthers on the road taking on the Bears in Chicago. The Bears. Bears are 3.5-point favorites.
Yeah.
DeAndre Swift had a coming out party last week.
Yeah, he did.
I'm gonna ride the momentum. I'm taking Chicago.
So am I. I think this is a get right game for Caleb.
Yeah, I was gonna say Caleb Williams has been improving week after week. DeAndre Swift had a big game running the ball. Yeah, I think they get a big dub here.
Yeah, this is gonna really show Carolina just how badly they fucked up with their moves that they've made in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
To have the guy that you could have had because you traded a pick.
Yeah. And your number 1 wide receiver as well. You traded him away.
Yeah. Like this is not fun. So
yeah.
I agree. I like Chicago here. I like them to really probably dominate this game, to be fair.
Yeah.
All
right. 4:00 time slate. Raiders in Denver taking on the Broncos. Broncos are 2.5-point home favorites. I honestly think this should probably be 6.5-point spread. I'm taking Denver.
So am I.
Yep. Yeah, they've hung around with some good teams. This division game, so this could be a game where they drop, but no Davante Adams, potentially no Max Crosby. I think the sky's falling for the Raiders, and the Broncos are a frisky young team.
Mm-hmm.
I think they take a win at home.
Yeah, I agree. I'm 100% in the same boat. I think there's a coaching mismatch. I think the Broncos are coming off of not so much a super emotional win, more of a motivating win. Getting a tough road win like that. Bo Nix isn't going to play as bad as he did last week. They're at home.
Yeah.
In their conditions, division rival. I like them to get it done here. I don't think it's going to look too pretty, obviously, because both these teams are bad. But the Raiders have showed me absolutely nothing that tells me that they can compete. And not having Davante Adams, I don't like it.
Yeah, me either.
Mm-hmm.
Next game, Cardinals in San Francisco taking on the Niners. Niners are 7.5-point home favorites.
Yeah.
Big spread, touchdown.
Yep.
Niners are getting healthy though.
Mm-hmm.
They have Debo back, but no CMC. Jordan Mason, no CMC, no problem. I'm taking San Francisco.
Yeah. I'm actually going to take Arizona here. I think we're in a situation where the sky is going to fall for San Fran at some point. they're one like season-ending injury away from shit falling apart.
Yeah.
And with Debo being banged up, Brandon Ayuk not really coming to his own yet. Kittle was out a week. Like there's and the news of CMC not being there is gut wrenching to them.
Yeah.
I
Jordan
still
Mason
think
has played tremendous in his
he
place.
has. I don't know how long they can keep that up.
Yeah.
I think they'll still win, but a touchdown against a division rival is a little much for me.
Yeah.
Especially a team of Arizona that's been a little bit frisky. Plus, I do think Kyler Murray gets up for divisional games. So
Yeah.
yeah, I think it could be a close game where we're not surprised of the winner, but we're surprised how close it is.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
Did you write mine down?
Yeah, I got yours.
Okay. Never mind.
Would you want to switch?
I was thinking about it, but no, if you wrote it down already.
No, switch it. I'll switch it for you.
No, bro. Listen, you wrote it in pen. It's in pen.
All right. I'm not doing it till we move on next time. I'm giving you time to listen to your boy who's 9 games ahead of you in the standings.
Hey, it's cool. You sold me in fantasy. I'm not listening to you no more, bro.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He sold me out for his girl. Shout out to him.
Hey.
Next game, Packers on the road in SoFi, taking on the Rams. And Packers are 3-point road favorites.
I hate this one.
I hate this one too because I could see the Packers winning just because the Rams are shorthanded, but at the same time,
the Rams haven't even looked bad in any of their losses.
No. You know what? I'm gonna go with the Rams.
All right, I'm gonna follow up with you, bro. I'm gonna follow up with you. I mean, Green Bay is better than 2-2. Jordan Love still has to get his feet underneath him, though.
Right.
Another week to get healthy. Mm-hmm. I don't really have a reason for them winning. Interesting spot, I guess.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I mean the Rams are too talented to fall to 1-4, but it could happen. Like, yeah, this is just a stupid game because it's like the Packers, you really see them dropping to 2-3, but the Rams on the flip side, like
1-4. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, moving on. Giants in Seattle taking on the Seahawks. Here's a team I could see falling to 1-4. Seahawks touchdown favorites. Give me the Seahawks by 10.
Yeah.
Signed, sealed, delivered. Give me the Seahawks.
Yeah. I actually was a little bit more on the fence with this one because I actually think the Giants have looked better than their record. The defense has picked it up. Dexter Lawrence looks like one of the best D tackles in football again. And the wide receiver room's really come together. Plus Devin Singletary playing solid. Like obviously Daniel Jones really, really, really limits them. But they have looked pretty solid, I will say.
They have, but when you watch them play Dallas, like to me that was their best. And they still they just were missing.
I agree. Yeah, you're not
against Seattle on the road. Mm-hmm. After Seattle coming, I mean, sure they lost, but coming off of the game that they played against Detroit, it's hard for me to pick against Seattle. Maybe you can make the case the Giants cover, but I don't.
Yeah, I'm thinking Seattle too. I was on the fence on this one for a little bit, just because I don't know. Like I could see Geno throwing a pick or two being a problem for the spread because he has thrown a pick in I'm pretty sure every game this year, if not maybe not one.
Yeah, I just don't.
Yeah,
the Giants are.
They're a bad football team, but I don't think they're I don't think they're the worst 1-3 team in the league.
Yeah, they're not the worst one in the league, but they're just not good. Whereas Seattle, I think, is really good.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
This is just pitching catch.
I have them as a top 3 team in the league. Don't forget.
Yeah. Listen, this is like Baker Mayfield throwing off coverage last week.
Yeah.
Game right here. Okay.
Yeah.
Sunday Night Football. Cowboys in Pittsburgh taking on the Steelers. This spread is interesting.
It is interesting.
Steelers are 1.5-point favorites at home. It's a toss-up, according to Vegas. I'm taking the Steelers, bro.
Okay.
I'm taking the Steelers. Reason being, that defense has been playing tremendous.
Yep.
Justin Fields has been playing great. Mike Tomlin has been having them boys play really good football. They've been setting the tone. It's been low scoring.
Mhm.
And Dallas, they are injury ridden right now.
Mhm.
And I think Justin Fields as a threat as a runner is going to
Yeah.
have enough influence on that defense.
Yep.
And I think they're going to struggle. They're going to struggle setting a run game. I think they're going to be one-dimensional. And I
Yeah.
think the Steelers win and start to, start that dialogue of, is Dallas done?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, you make Dallas a one-dimensional team with this defense. Like they're already a one-dimensional passing team, and then you
Yeah.
go up against this defense who can capitalize on that. Yeah, it's a bad matchup.
Yeah.
I like Pittsburgh too here.
Yeah. Like the whole thing about it is like they were one-dimensional against the Giants.
Yeah, and they barely came out of that one.
And the Giants suck. Like they made the Giants played their best ball.
Yep.
And the Cowboys still like only won by 5.
Yep.
And they were one-dimensional. What do you think is going to happen when you play a Steelers team with a top defense, especially top run defense in the league? It's not going to be good.
Yeah, I agree.
Last game.
Mm-hmm.
Saints in Arrowhead taking on the Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Chiefs are 5.5-point favorites at home.
Yeah. I'm taking New Orleans to cover, but Kansas City to win. Kansas City has covered the spread, has covered 5.5. They're 1-3 at that number this year. So, I mean, they've nothing to work with right now. Justin Watson and the ghost of Travis Kelce is what they're running with. Kareem Hunt was solid last week, I will say, but. So I think they'll be able to run the ball a little bit. I think they're actually going to really try to run the ball. Like I don't. There's not much you can do with this offense. Like Travis Kelce is not quite what he used to be, at least week to week. I think Juju could be serviceable. Like I don't think they're going to be bad at wide receiver. It's going to be a carbon copy of last year, and we've seen last year like wide receiver drops being an issue. So,
right,
yeah, I think it's going to be a close game. I think I think there's a chance New Orleans wins and hands Kansas City their first loss, but I still think they cover regardless.
Yeah, I could see that too. I don't know. I'm on the fence about this one because on one end of it, like on the outside, I feel like that Saints secondary matches up pretty well.
Yep.
But at the same time, like, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to go to City. Why the fuck not?
They absolutely, dude, Kansas City could blow them out. Like,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to take Kansas City just because.
Yeah.
I can see this going either way, though.
Yep. All right. You picked all but 3 home teams. Yeah. You took New York, you took Baltimore, and you took Cleveland.
Okay.
Yeah. I only took 4, so. But
we're kind of in the same ballpark.
Yeah,
all right,
we are.
Locks of the week. Start with mine. They're all correct. Start with Houston plus 1.5 at home. I think they beat Buffalo. This is a Stephon Diggs revenge game, like I said. If it's going to come down to a last drive, I think CJ Stroud has more firepower to get shit done.
Mm-hmm.
This could be the game that exposes it for Buffalo. Like, hey, we need a certified number 1. Maybe they go out and get Davante Adams after this game. And
there's a lot of guys I think could work with Buffalo. Like a Christian Kirk would be cool.
Yeah, that's true.
Mm-hmm.
But it's going to start that dialogue, I think, here and give me the points. So I'm taking Houston there. Other pick here, Steelers minus 1.5. I think this is a matchup nightmare for Dallas. I think they're going to shut them down one-dimensional. We know when Dak Prescott has the game in his hands, he folds. And the Steelers have they've been impressive. They have been absolutely impressive defensively, offensively. Justin Fields has been a great quarterback. And it's crazy to see this renaissance after, last year. We ran the shorts, we ran the clips of Justin Fields' ass. And here he is in the right situation. That's all it takes for these guys.
This man was a kick returner 4 weeks ago.
we were talking 2 months ago. We were saying this man's returning kicks. This man is playing top-notch quality quarterback football for the
Mhm.
Steelers. So I think he continues to show that on prime time. And my lock of the week, I don't think there's been a better lock that I've had so far this year
Really?
than this mismatch of a game right here. Seattle against the Giants at home, coming off of a tough loss, high-scoring loss. They showed a lot against the Detroit Lions. This is a get-back game if I've ever seen one against a piss-poor Giants team. I think Geno puts his meat all over the map. This is a Geno Smith masterclass, bro.
Yeah.
Devin Witherspoon's going to lock Malik Neighbor ass up. If he even plays. We'll see.
Yeah.
I got
Yep.
Seattle.
All right. Very nice. You're actually winning locks of the week over me as of late, which is surprising since I have a 9-game advantage on you. But I'm actually pretty confident in all three of these this week. I'll start off Chicago at home against Carolina. I think it's a good spot. Like I said, get right game for Caleb. I'll put a lockout against the Carolina Panthers as often as I possibly can. So I'll take Chicago. Same thing kind of with Denver and the Raiders. I think the Raiders are going through a lot of dysfunction right now. And I think Denver, kind of like New England, is a functional bad team. I think they know what they are. I don't think they're trying to be something they're not. And I think that's really going to bode well for them coming off of a good win. So I like Denver. And then my lock, a division rival game at home for Cincinnati. I think they're going to cover the spread. I get Cincinnati at home and I get points. I'll take it. Joe Burrow has played really well despite them losing. Their defense has been a question mark, but I think they can do just enough to win this game. Like I said, they got to win it because it's just points. So that's what I like. That's my locks.
Hey, I don't hate it, bro.
Yep. Yeah. I really hope you don't do 6-11 again, bro. Despite it helping me with my record, I still don't hope you do that again. You haven't had a 500 week yet.
I know, bro. I need to get my act together.
Yeah. Last week you had like 2-13-4, 3 weeks.
I know. The problem is this NFL is just so unpredictable now. You got to try to adjust. I've been trying to adjust, but it's just.
Did you ever think
I'm like
years?
Nick Sirianni, dog.
Yeah.
Listen, I gotta adjust. I'm gonna go back to the drawing board and I'm gonna adjust. But guess what? I come out each week and I do the same shit. I don't adjust.
I respect that. Oh man. Mm-hmm. Crazy shit.
Yeah.
So MJ is gonna sue NASCAR?
Oh yeah, bro. He already has. Crazy shit going on in the NASCAR. We'll wrap up with this. 2311 Racing. The team Michael Jordan is co-owning with Denny Hamlin. 2311 Racing and Front Row Motorsports have sued NASCAR in an antitrust lawsuit over the charter system.
Insane.
Now, if you don't understand how the charter system works, I'll try to explain it super quick. Basically, these teams pay tens of millions of dollars to guarantee their spot in the field every week, which is called the charter. So they get like a guaranteed entry into the field every week. Costs a shit ton of money. On top of the car, they got to pay the drivers, the crew, all the like materials, metal, fuel, all that fun stuff. And this is a system that NASCAR started back in around 2016 to kind of eliminate the crowd of field fillers that kind of just they would show up, start and park. They would start the race, run like 2 laps, park it in the infield for the rest of the night because they would get guaranteed payout for starting the race. So NASCAR kind of eliminated that, and that's
bullshit.
Yeah, I know. Because
crazy to think there's something like that in a professional sport where like there's people that are entering a professional race and they're in it just for the payout check of a participation trophy. That's insane. Yeah,
but I mean this is kind of how a lot of those guys make their living, though. A lot of those like bottom filler teams, like back in the late 90s, early 2000s. I mean, even before then, but really big in the mid 2000s, especially 2004, 2005.
Yeah.
Guys just starting the race just to get a paycheck to live. So, yeah, guys made a living out of that.
Is there no effort to win those races because like it's too like they can't afford to like the upkeep of a full race? Is that kind of how like why they do it?
Yeah.
I mean, because
Yeah.
either way, you're guaranteed that participation check. So why aren't you running the race? That has to be it. Like they simply can't afford the tires, the fuel, the metal, like you said.
Well, yeah, that's why they do the start and park, because it's
That's
just
so
enough to cover, the whole weekend's expenses. So NASCAR kind of phased that out with the charter system,
Yep.
and it's been tough. It's been tough on teams. There, 16 teams that bought into it in 2016. 9 of them have gone out of business. They've sold out. And NASCAR's at this point where people are saying it might be a monopoly, and it is, because now they're at the point where they pretty much control every single NASCAR sanctioned track. They own it under the International Speedway Corporation umbrella, under the Smith family, and it's also tough because NASCAR has the intellectual property on the cars, the tracks, the R&D when it comes to improvements on the cars, and the TV revenue.
Yep.
The teams only get a small sliver of that, and that the rest of it pretty much goes back to NASCAR and the France family. So NASCAR's not seeing a lot of that revenue, and they're kind of stuck to whatever NASCAR says is, and it's kind of been like that for pretty much ever.
Yep.
Maybe not to the extent that it's just so uniform these days. But there's been, kind of semi-regulated, rules about the cars and things like that that we've seen, but it's been more like everybody's pretty much on the same playing field. And I guess that's kind of what NASCAR's going for in terms of the parity, and it's worked. But from a financial standpoint, it's just tough for teams, especially, I mean, on all teams, whether it's a top dollar team or the lower end budget teams that are just trying to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So this is huge. If this goes the way that, it kind of seems that, the motive for this antitrust is, it could have some serious reform into how NASCAR operates in terms of revenue share, track contracts, the cars. We've never really seen like a separate racing series very similar or almost identical to NASCAR that pops up that rivals NASCAR.
Yeah.
So that's something that could also potentially be on the docket. I'm not really sure, but we'll see. But this is huge. This is absolutely huge because we've never seen something like this in NASCAR. Nobody really thought MJ had the balls, but they don't know MJ like that. He's got the balls to do anything. He's MJ. So this is huge news, and I just figured we'd touch on it briefly. We'll definitely monitor, see what happens. It might not get resolved for a couple years, or it gets resolved really quick.
But hey, we'll be here in a few years, so we'll talk about it when it happens.
Yeah, we will. Because these two teams, they had the deadline to sign their charters, and they did not, and they decided to sue. So they still might be able to operate in the court of law as operate as a chartered team.
Yeah.
But yeah, big ramifications coming down the line, potentially some big reform in the way NASCAR operates. So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, huge news.
All right. Crazy shit.
Yeah. That'd be like the NFL suing like Roger Goodell for like revenue share and monopolizing the teams.
Insane.
Yeah.
All right. Well, action-packed show tonight, bro. Crazy shit. We're back. Sorry we missed last week. Just schedules were not working out. Shit's crazy. Next week we will be back though. We'll probably do another step-by-step. We'll do spread picks. We'll do other things. Maybe we'll bring back try to tell y'all. Maybe we'll do something like that.
Or a new segment. We never know.
Yeah, maybe we'll come up with something. But with that being said, thank you so much for listening to the Day One podcast. We really appreciate it. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, whether you are on a boat, bus, or plane, you can get the Day One podcast content anywhere in the world. So make sure you're tapped in. Make sure you got your Sprint wireless set up. You know, you got your little track phone. Make sure you're there so you can watch our content moving forward. With that being said, I'm Kyle. That's Anthony. Take it easy, y'all.
Peace.